Live from a secret studio in Discord, it's the season premiere of Jeopardy! And now, here are today's contestants. In the third position, famously known to our channel, please welcome Laura Osweiler. In the second position, please welcome Scott Egbert. And in the first position, while he's not champion, still, please welcome Nico Knox. And now, here's your host of the entire thing, AJ Baker. Okay, well, hello everyone. This has been a long time running. I've tried to get this software up and running for years, and then I've finally gotten it to work, so now we can finally play a Jeopardy game. So we have our three contestants. First of all, in the third position, please welcome in Laura Osweiler. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
Yes, I did a casting call for this earlier, and they all seemed eager to play Jeopardy. We tried to do this yesterday, but it didn't work. All right, are you hoping to become our first champion of Jeopardy?
Yes, I hope so.
All right, well, best of luck to you. In the second position, please welcome good buddy, good friend, Scotty Egbert.
Hello, as the everything who's just protecting how here's how to do it right at the beginning.
All right. Yes, this was a long time coming. I am not kidding you. And now in the first position, well, he's not champion because we haven't crowned a champion yet, but still, please welcome. I think he's still been on our channel, but he hasn't been on it in a long time, ever since Dylan P. the Gamer left. Please welcome Nico Knox. Hello, Nico.
Hello, everyone. Nico here. And I'm here for a big win.
Okay, well, best of luck to you all for playing this game. As always, we are going to be taking a break every 15 minutes because that's what normally goes on the show. So, yeah, so that's how we're gonna do it. Let me just set my timer here, and then we should be all good. The timer will start immediately when I call out for the first pick of the categories. But first, we have to see what those categories are. So let's fill the board and see what our categories are. Our categories for this game, for this round of Jeopardy, are from their New York Times obituary, Kid Lit, Double Talk, Be My TV Show Guest, Hat Tricks, and finally, Can I Get an Amendment? Of course, if you all have seen these categories recently on a game of Jeopardy, of course, these games are based on real shows that occurred. This one occurred last month. So again, it's pretty recent. I don't know if it was 2024 or 2025, but still, these all come from real games that were played previously. So we will start with Nico, since he is in the first position. What category would you like, sir?
I like a double talk for 200.
Double talk for 200. Here is the clue. The Ants Go Marching rhyme took this double talk phrase from the Civil War song When Johnny Comes Marching Home. Scott.
Yes, hurrah, hurrah.
That is correct. You have $200 and you get to choose the next category.
Double talk 400.
Say that again, please.
Double talk 400.
Okay, double talk for 4. Here we go. A kid's song doesn't take place in a papaya patch, but in a patch of this similar sounding fruit. The correct answer there was the Paw Patch. And I forgot to mention, there is one daily double in this round as usual on the show. Scott, you get to continue choosing.
Double for 6.
So double talk for 600. Here is the clue. Philosopher Sidney Morgenbesser's repetitively slangy reply on hearing a double positive can equal a negative. The correct answer there was yeah. And I forgot to mention, folks, if you have any problems with your buzzers for the contestants, please let me know and we will go on a quick break. Scott, you are still choosing?
Double for 8.
Double for 8. Here's the clue. It was applied to a 1940s kid who romanced older women. Today, it means out there or new agency. I'm sorry. The correct answer was woo woo. And again, what is or what are required to answer the full question. Scott, you're still choosing.
You said agency, but that meant AD, but
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but finish it off.
All right, finishing off the category of double talk. Here is the final clue. Possibly meaningless repetition is big in Waiting for Godot, down to the double talk of nicknames for Vladimir, also known as Didi, and Estragon, which is this. The correct clue was who is Go-Go. All right, Scott.
Go-Go.
Scott, you are still choosing.
Kid lit for 200.
Kid lit for 200. Here's the clue. At the beginning of a Joanna Spiri story, the Swiss Miss is taken by her aunt to live with her grumpy grandfather. Nico.
Was it something like a mate or something?
I need the exact answer. Anyone else? Nope. The correct answer was, and I will get that for you. The correct answer was Heidi. What is Heidi? We need the exact answer for all of those, but Scott, you are still choosing.
Kid lit 400.
Kid lit for 400. Here's the clue. She is the smallest of a dozen girls who attend a convent school in Paris. Her further adventures take her to London. If you all don't know this, I'm going to have a word with you. Scott.
Who is Madeline?
That is correct. We would have accepted what is Madeline as well. Scott, you're still choosing.
Okay, Kid lit 10.
Kid lit for... How much did you say? 600?
Yes, yes.
All right. Last name Trotter, the little kid of this Roald Dahl favorite is orphaned when his parents are eaten by a rhino. The correct saying was, what is James and the Giant Peach? So Scott, you're still choosing.
Kid lit for 8.
Kid lit for 8. Here's the clue. He wrote and illustrated the tiny 4-volume Nutshell library, which includes Chicken Soup with Rice.
Oh, I don't know.
The correct clue was who was Sendak. All right.
Sinbad.
Scott,
Finish Kid lit.
finish it off. All right. Pigs and cows feature in their classics like Barnyard Dance and Moo Ba La La La. Nico.
Is it Old MacDonald?
No. Anyone else?
That's where I was going to guess.
we would have accepted two answers for this one, either Boynton or Sandra Boynton. So who was Sandra Boynton? All right. Scott, you're still choosing.
Hat trick for 200.
Hat tricks for 2, and here's the clue. At a 2024 auction, this type of hat was worn by Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, made $630,000 vanish. Scott.
What is the fedora?
That is correct. Scott, you get to continue with $800.
Hat for 4.
Hats for 4. All right, here's the clue. It's included in a picture as well, which most of y'all can't see, and I apologize for that, but I will read you the clue. Created in the late 1800s for outdoor fun like sailing, it's the hat here as a Kazam. Now it's a puppy. I do apologize for the technical difficulties. The correct clue was what is a boater. Okay, so Scott, you're still choosing.
Hat for 6.
Hats for 6. Here's the clue. That's not a bat, that's a knife. And now, it's a hat named for this region, worn by none other than Crocodile Dundee himself. Scott.
What is Australia?
More specific, please.
What is Queensland?
All right. Anyone else? All right. The correct clue was what is an Outback hat? I'm sorry.
Outback.
But Scott, you're still
Outback.
choosing.
Hat for 8.
Hats for 8. Hat trick for 800. A 1906 pic of Teddy Roosevelt aboard abroad and wearing this hat made it famous, and bam, here's Ted. Oh no, Ted died in 1919 and doesn't look great. The correct clue was what is a Parama hat. Okay, Scott, you're still choosing.
Finish hat trick.
Finish it off. Okay, here's the clue. The future Edward VIII made this soft felt hat popular, and presto, it's now in a spa in the same named bad German city.
Oh.
The correct clue was what is a Hamburg. Scott, you're still choosing.
Can I get an abandonment for 200?
Yes, you may, and here is the clue. Representative Louis Ludrow led his name to a 1930s amendment that would require a national referendum to approve a declaration of this.
Not independence.
The correct answer was what is a war. Okay, so Scott?
Amendment for 4.
Amendments for 4. Here's the clue. Rarely or never enforced, the Reed Amendment states that if you renounce this for tax avoidance reason, you can't return to America.
Go.
The correct clue was what is your citizenship? Scott?
Let's go to the New York Times for 200.
New York Times for 2. Here it is. 1968. Quote, overcame blindness and deafness to become a signal of the innominable human spirit. The correct answer was who is Helen Keller? Scott?
New York Times for 4.
New York Times for 4. After this, we will take a quick break. 1947, quote, struck a cruel blow shortly before his 80th birthday by the death of his only son, Edsel. We will take either his last name or his full name. The correct answer was who was Ford or Henry Ford. Scott?
Oh, I thought we were taking a break.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. My phone blacked out on me, so I will just have to make a stop myself. So, we will take a break now, but don't worry, we will come back up right after this. We will be right back right after this break, folks.
That means that what you just did, that was
Alright, welcome back everybody to Season 1, Episode 1 of Jeopardy! I do apologize, that sound was supposed to be for the end of the round, so at the end of every round we will take a commercial break. Alright, so we have Scott, who is still on a roll in his choosing. So Scott, what would you like to pick next?
New York Times obituary for 6.
New York Times for 6?
Yeah.
Okay, here's the clue. In 1901, quote, the end of this splendid career came in a simply furnished room in the Osborne House, the most respected of all women.
what was that woman's name?
The correct clue is who is Queen Victoria. All right,
Victoria.
Scott.
The victory parade.
So, New York Times for 8. Here's the clue. 1926, began her career at 16 years old, performed wonderful shooting feat at 62. Who is she?
Who's Mel in the world?
Low? No, that is not correct. Anyone else? The correct clue was who is Annie Oakley. Okay, so anyone else? I mean, Scott.
Just because New York Times.
Finish it off. 1,000. That clue is the Daily Double. So how much would you like to wager, Scott?
Well, there's the clue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll ask you how much to wager, in a moment. But 1977, dead of heart attack in Paris. Most exciting opera singer of her time. How much would you like to wager?
I'm just gonna wager 50.
$50? Okay, what is it?
Yeah. This.
Okay. The correct
I don't know.
the correct answer was who was Maria Callas. Was the correct one.
Yeah.
I do apologize. That was the original timer. Anyway, Scott, you still get to choose.
Be my TV show just for 200.
Be my TV show guest for 200. This does have an image, but I do apologize if it doesn't pop up, but here's the clue. Yep, as I thought. Britney Spears played a receptionist that was obsessed with Ted, but who settles with Barney on this sitcom. Scott?
Oh, what was that thinking? Never mind.
Okay, the next one up who still buzzed in was Nico. So, Nico?
What is Britney Spears?
Still incorrect.
Britney Spears was part of the clue.
Okay, the correct clue was what was How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, I should have guessed that.
Before we
So, Scott, you're still choosing.
begin,
Yeah?
God's would be at negative $50.
Scott's is supposed to be at negative 50.
Yeah, since you got that question wrong.
I didn't. I think I just forgot.
Okay, I will make an adjustment to his score.
I think. I hate that.
Negative 50, please.
Whoa, hello.
Yeah, that's been happening lately.
Yeah, okay, so apparently we have some technical problems with the thing, so I will just adjust his score right now. Hello. Okay. Okay. I will have...
Everyone take a screenshot of this so that we can come back to it.
Yes, okay, so Scott has... There we go, negative 50. Okay, but Scott, you're still in control.
Okay. Too much TV show gets 400.
TV show guest for 4. Here's the clue. She won an Emmy for a guest appearance on as the alcoholic mother of Carmy and Sugar on The Bear. Who is she?
I'm not going to touch it.
The correct clue was who was Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay, so Scott, you're still in control.
256.
TV show for 6. Here's the clue. An episode of The Last of Us showed the 20-year relationship of Frank, Murray Bartlett, and Bill. Who is Bill?
This actor.
The correct clue was Nick Offerman. Who is Nick Offerman? Or we could have accepted Nick as well. All right. Scott, you're still in control.
TV show 8.
TV for 8. Here's the clue. Fred Claus on film. He played Freddie Funkhauser on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Who is he? The correct answer was who was Vince Vaughn.
Then,
Okay, Scott.
Let's bet TV again.
Finish it off, okay. This star of the OG Shaft guest starred as two different characters on Fresh Prince.
Badass.
The correct clue was who was Richard Roundtree.
Richard.
Excuse me. Okay, so last category is can I get an amendment? What wager would you like, Scott?
600.
600. Okay, here's the clue. The 1950s Lodge Gossett Amendment would have reformed this quadrennial body to make it account for the popular vote. It failed in the House. The correct clue was what was the Electoral College? Scott?
800.
800. Here's the clue. The Platt Amendment of 1901 let the U.S. intervene in this nearby island, whose government was briefly called the Platt Amendment Republic.
Oh, what was that? Island.
The island's name is Cuba, so what is Cuba? Okay, and now the final clue, can I get an amendment for 1,000? Here's the clue. High federal debt numbers have inspired many of these alternative amendments, like the one from Representative Jody Arrington in 2024. The correct answer was what was a balanced budget amendment. And that is going to be it for this. That is going to be it for this round. So, it is the end of the round. We will get to Jeopardy right after this.
Oh man,
Nico gets to start first in Jeopardy.
Yep, Nico starts the second round.
We will be right back with Double Jeopardy. Alright, welcome back to Jeopardy. Unfortunately, everyone is in the negatives, but hopefully we can fix that with this round of Double Jeopardy. The categories are T on the map, T is in quotation marks. Also, big screen baseball briefly, fossil fueled, lying around, famous pro-Semites, and compound words. Nico gets to start in this round since he has the lowest amount of money. So Nico, which category would you like?
I like compound words for 400.
Compound words for 4. Here's the clue. Term for a car that resembles a convertible but has a fixed roof. The correct one for that is what is a hard top. Nico, you're still in control.
I'll go for 400 of lying around.
Lying around, 400. Here's the clue. In the Harry Potter books, Minerva McGonagall and Sirius Black are both members of this Hogwarts house, symbolized by a lion. The first fastest was Scott.
What is Gryffindor?
That is correct. You pick next.
I retrieve it. By the way, the first category is actually eye on the map.
Oh,
by the
eye
way.
on the map. Excuse me. That was a mistake on my part, but humans make mistakes. Scott, which category now?
Lying around for 8.
Lying around for 8. Here's the clue. This villain in The Lion King kills the rightful monarch. All of you should know this, but just who's faster? Let's see. Lar.
Who is Star?
That is correct. Lar, you are now in control.
You out of the hole.
Flying around for 1200.
Lying around for 12. This one does have an image. I do apologize if it does not come up, but here is the clue anyway. In 1951, orange and green were added to the lion flag of this island nation to represent its Tamai and Muslim citizens.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer.
The correct answer was what was Sri Lanka. Okay.
Sri Lanka.
Yes, Sri Lanka, excuse me. Law, you're still in control.
Lion 1600.
Lion for 1600, and I have good news for you. That is the first out of 2 daily doubles. How much would you like to wait?
$1.
The maximum right here is 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah. But I want $1, please.
Okay, so $1. You will be wagering that. Here's the clue. Stage directions in this Shaw play, based on a Roman story, mention a huge thorn in a paw.
What is no?
No, the correct answer was what was Anacroles and the lion. Laura, you still get to pick, though.
What's the category for 2000?
What? Let's finish the category for 2000. Here's another image, but here's the clue. This self-taught French artist painted a lion standing over a sleeping woman in one of his most famous works. I will accept both his first or last name. Or first and last name. Who is he? Lar?
I only doing this to give people more time. Who is Leo?
That is unfortunately the name of the lion. Anybody else? The correct answer was who was Rousseau. Henry Rousseau. Laura, you're still in control.
Let's do compound words for 800.
Compound words for 8. Here's the clue. Higgins, a question about my new executive parking spot is not relevant to the meeting. Let's take it here. A term from tech.
Not going to touch it.
The correct clue is what is offline. Okay, so
Offline.
Laura, you're still in control.
Baseball movies for 400. Big screen baseball briefly 400.
For 400, here's the clue. Tim Robbins took the mound as Nuke LaDouche. The correct clue was who was Burl Dunham.
Baseball 8.
Go Durham.
Yeah. Okay, so Laura, you're still in control.
Baseball 8.
Baseball for 8. Here's the clue. Charlie Sheen took the mound as Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn. Scott.
But it's Major League.
That is correct. Scott is an
Nice
expert at
one.
baseball. So, Scott, what is your next pick?
Baseball for 12.
Baseball for 12. Here's the clue. A home run by Scott Heidelberg of the Oakland A's is a climatic moment. Scott.
What is Moneyball?
That is correct.
Baseball for 16.
Baseball for 16. Here's the clue. A man sells his soul to the devil to help his team beat a New York franchise.
Ooh.
I don't want to chance
The
it.
correct clue was, who are the damn Yankees? Okay. And just to clarify for the folks at home, that was actually in the clue. Damn Yankees is the actual answer. I did not just swear for fun. But again, it is kind of hilarious that they would include it in the clue. Scott.
Let's
Finish it off. Here's the clue. Texas college ball players Jake Roper and McReynolds are often dazed and confused. Shh. Shh.
No idea.
The correct clue is everybody wants some. What is everybody wants some? What is the phrase everybody wants some was the correct clue. Scott, you're still in control.
Compound word for 12.
Compound for 12. Here's the clue. Another way to ask, what are you reading, is what's on your blank. This word with 5 consecutive consonants. The correct clue is, what is a nightstand? A nightstand.
Nightstand.
Okay, Scott?
Compounds for 16.
Compounds for 16. This one does have a picture, but here's the clue. In 1884, black inventor Willis Johnson patented a model of this device that could mix batter as well as the food in its name. Lar?
What is the food process though?
That
That ain't compound.
ain't compound.
Yep.
The correct clue was, what is an egg beater? Scott?
Finish compound.
Finish it off. Here's the clue. Fountainhead is the source of this stream of ideas. So is the word for this that starts with a pit from which to draw water.
Cool.
I have some idea, but I'm not going with
The
it.
correct clue was, what is a wellspring? Scott?
Eye on the map of 400.
Eye on the map for 400. This one does have an image, but I do apologize. Here is the clue. Flown during the 1916 Easter Rising, the tricolor seen here, unfortunately, would become the official flag of this country. Scott?
Can I take a guess? What is India?
That is incorrect. Anyone else?
I have
Name a country. What is Ireland? Was the correct answer. What is Ireland? And again,
Ireland.
I do apologize for all of the images that are not pictured. It just seems to be a technical difficulty with the software today. Scott, where would you like to continue?
I think I had the right color, but not in the right direction. Okay, I-800.
I for 800. Here's the clue. With more than 13 million people, it's the only major city that straddles 2 continents. What is Istanbul? Was the correct answer. Okay. Scott?
I for 12.
I for 12. Here's the clue. The U.S. controlled this embattled Japanese island until 1968. What was Iwo Jima? Iwo Jima was the correct answer on that one. Scott?
Fossil fuel for 400.
Fossil fuels for 4. Here's the clue. In 2024, scientists announced the discovery of the oldest fossil of one of these frog larvae, over 6 feet long. Scott?
Tadpoles?
No.
I'll take it. What is a tadpole?
Yes.
I will take that one because it's your first time doing this show. I will take that. But any other guesses without what is or whatever catchphrase beforehand will be penalized. Scott?
Fossil fuel 8.
Fossil fueled for 8. Here's the clue. More than 600 species of fossils have been found along this state's Calvert Cliffs. The correct clue was what is Maryland?
That's not even close.
Okay, Scott. Fossil fuels for 12. This one does have an image, but I do apologize. Here's the clue. A New York museum recently unveiled Apex, one of the most complete specimens of this dinosaur, with bony black plates and all. Lar.
What is a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
That's not it. Anyone else?
The T-Rex.
The correct answer was what is a Stegosaurus?
I didn't assume.
Okay, Scott?
Fossil system.
Fossils for 16, and I have a special day for you because it's the second Daily Double. How much would you like to wager?
About 350.
350. All right, here's the clue while you ponder. North Carolina chose this as its state fossil. The teeth of this giant prehistoric shark.
What is Megalodon?
That is correct. Okay, Scott?
Fossil fuel 2000.
Fossil fuels, finishing it off. Here's the clue. Discovered in 1861, this quoted ancient wing dinosaur with feathers was long thought to be the oldest fossil bird.
What is the pterodactyl?
That is incorrect. The next closest was Nico. So Nico?
What is a velociraptor?
That is also incorrect. Scott?
Hello?
What is the Archipelago?
That is correct.
Yeah, it's hard to pronounce it, but you do it anyway.
Okay, Scott?
Eye on the map 16.
Eye on the map for 16. This one does have a picture. I do apologize. The iconic Versailles Mosque is in this capital city is one of the largest in the world. The correct clue is what is Islamabad. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but we'll see in the comments. Scott? Finishing it off. All right, finishing it off. The Mediterranean's deepest recorded point, about 3.2 miles, is the Hellenic Trench in this sea. What was the Ionian Sea? Or what is the Ionian Sea? We have one more category, famous pro-Semites. Scott, where would you like to go?
400.
400. Here's the clue. In youth, this jazz titan worked for whatever that is, New Orleans. New Orleans peddlers, and wrote, quote, "I will love for Jewish people all my life."
Oh, that's key. By the way.
Who was Louis Armstrong?
The greatest damage result.
Okay, Scott?
800.
800, okay. Here's the clue. The boy from St. Croix, this founding father, knew some Sephardic Jews in the Caribbean and became a lifelong advocate.
Although it's St. Croix.
Okay.
Who was Hamilton? Who was Hamilton? Okay, Scott.
1200.
1200? Alright, here's the clue. The U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum says he lost childhood Jewish friends from Waterwitz and repudiated Catholic anti-Semitism. Who was John Paul II? Who was John Paul II? Scott?
Yeah.
15.
All right, 1600. Here's the clue. A descendant of these tough Jews from the Hanukkah story sent troops to help Julius Caesar, who later punished for Jewish rights. Who were the Maccabees? Was the correct clue. Who were the Maccabees? And here's the final clue. A 2011 book is subtitled Philo-Semitism in England form. This 1650s remitter of the Jews, quote, to Churchill. Who was or who is Cromwell? And of course, that is it for this round. We will be back with Final Jeopardy right after this.
Am I allowed
Well-
to see your phone?
Doesn't look like I'm the only one.
All right, welcome to Final Jeopardy, everyone. All right. The category that Scott has wagered in is seafaring Brits. Here is the clue. In 1804, an officer of HMS Warrior formally charged this captain with calling me rascal, scoundrel, and shaking his fist in my face. You have 30 seconds. I'm sorry. You have 30 seconds. Good luck. All right, that was time. Scott, did you think of anything? Or
I just put some random character in there.
Or no, okay. So you are still our champion. You will not be penalized. You wagered $0. The correct answer was Captain Blythe. So you are still safe, and you are our champion, and will be coming back in the next episode. Well, this has been an interesting first show, but we will be back with Scott on a later episode. Good night, everybody. This is AJ speaking for Jeopardy. This is an AJ's Fun Stuff studio production.